What killed your feelings for someone you were once madly in love with?
I don't know about madly in love, but in love. I was. This is 30 years ago, before my current husband, and I met this guy, and he lived in New Jersey. Which, if you don't know, I lived in Philly. It's right across the bridge. Lots of people who live in, across the bridge area of New Jersey, you know, come to Philly for all their socialization and all that stuff. So me and this guy met in a club. We had a nice time. We had some fun. We started seeing each other a lot. We started doing things together that weren't just in my bedroom. And eventually, months later, we started talking about moving in together. We started talking about, this is it, we're the ones. And so we then started looking at apartments. And we started actually going to stores and like, hey, let's buy this thing here. It will look great in our apartment. Let's buy this print. That'll look great in our apartment. Like, we were buying this stuff, stashing it in my place because we had decided our new apartment would be in Philly. And then one day we were in a store and we're buying something, and he's dealing with the cashier. He's giving them the money and juggling the bag, and he dropped his wallet on the floor, and all of his cards went flying in every direction. So he was like, I'll get it. And I was like, of course, but I'm going to help. So I went and I picked up a card, and it was his ID, and it had a name on it that wasn't the name that I knew. It was a totally different name. Long story short, he was in New Jersey living with his wife and 2 children. And I didn't know that. He didn't tell me that. He just tried to make an excuse about his name. And shortly after, just stopped returning my phone calls and pages. Beepers were a thing back then. So when I looked at the ID, I saw the address. So I decided one day, which was actually Halloween, that I was going to go to that house. And I didn't drive, like I said. I was a city boy. I would live near trains and subs and buses that could get me to work and back and forth. So I took a cab and a bus and a cab to get there, and rang the bell, and a lovely woman answered the door and said, "Are you trick-or-treating?" I said, "Oh, I must have the wrong house," and looked right past her, and there he was behind her in the living room with 2 kids in Halloween costumes. That's my story. You can say all the feelings were killed, if not when the ID drop happened that day.
This is probably different to how other people are going about it, but I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to say who said what, but I was standing at the bottom of the stairs when I was 8 years old, sobbing, 7 or 8, and this person was standing at the top of the stairs, screaming at me about how awful I was. And they finally turned around and pointed at me down the stairs and said, "I love it when you go to school in the mornings, and I hate it when you come home." And then proceeded to walk off and go in their bedrooms and not talk to me for 3 days. And I've been trying to make up for it ever since.
I started feeling like I wasn't important. Like, have you ever had those times where your man or your woman call you and they really act like they don't have much of anything to say? So y'all get off the phone, and moments later, you log into social media, and the same person that you love so much was just on the phone with you with really nothing at all to say. And now you log in and you see them on lives or something like that, and they got everything to say to everybody else, but they don't got nothing to say to you. You just start feeling like you're not special, like you just a warm body when it's convenient for them. You just feel like you're just taking up space, like they're just stringing you along because they understand and know the qualities that you possess, and you're really there for them, but they just string you along until they find something that they think is better.
I was 19 years old when I was dating this guy named Richard. Now, Richard and I were basically living together when my 38-year-old boss decided that he wanted a baby and that I was going to be the one to give him that baby. And when I told him no, he kidnapped me for 6 weeks and forced himself on me. And this entire time, Richard was not bothered that I was MIA. So when I finally get away from my rapist, I go back to Richard and I explain everything that happened, and I'm just like sobbing. And his response is to accuse me of cheating on him because I should have fought harder to get away from my rapist if I really cared about him. Yeah, something about him turning my kidnapping and rape into me not caring enough about him kind of destroyed those feelings I had. Anyways, I wrote an entire book about that summer, so like if you want to go to the links in my bio, the ebook is only 99 cents right now.
I always learn a lot about people when I tell this story based on how they react. So I tried dating someone when I was 21 and they were 19, and it blew up in my face. They basically gave me an STI and ghosted me in a matter of, I don't know, just a month or so that we dated. Thankfully, the STI was curable, but I did not get any answers from them because they disappeared off the face of the planet after this horrible situation that I wouldn't wish on anyone. But you know what? At the end of the day, whatever. I got over it. And it didn't affect my health, and any more than that, and I was good. So fast forward, several years, and I bump into her again with her mom, and her mom always loved me. In fact, her mom said at one point that you are the best that my daughter's ever done and may ever do. And that's intense and weird. But you know what? You have a good connection with mom sometimes. That's how it is. She wanted to date again. She wanted to, at the very least, offer me dinner and apology. I think that's where it started. I don't think maybe her intentions were to date again, but lo and behold, we get talking. I've never had such an amazing, sincere apology, and me falling into a trap that I think anyone has who's been abused associates apologies with recompense, and that's not the case. So we date for about 3 more months. It's lackluster. It really is, and I try to break up with her and tell her, she doesn't really meet my needs. She doesn't meet me at my level emotionally. We can go our own ways, but she wants me to give her another shot, and so we do, and we last another 2 years, or excuse, I think like another year and a half or so. And at that point, she is always putting me on my back foot, basically never giving me any emotional reassurance, pretty much, I don't know, intentionally or maybe unintentionally, I don't know to this day, breaking me down in such a way where I'm the one who's absolutely not all there emotionally. I definitely wanted to end this relationship with dignity. And so we saw a couples therapist, as I do with almost all my relationships at the end. And we had a trip planned to Spain, and the therapist said, go to Spain, see how it goes, and come back and see how you feel. So we're in Spain, and we know we're on the rocks, and we're having drinks with one of her good friends, and her good friend's complaining about having no satisfaction with any men she's ever been with. And my partner offers me up and says, you should sleep with Charm. He's a good lay. He'll take care of you. And that's when I knew I would have no feelings for this person again. And that's that.
So I fell out of love with my first love when I had signed up for this race in Disney, which was a 10K one day and then a half marathon the next day. And I had really wanted to do a 5K, 10K, and then the half, but I couldn't because I had a test. And I was very much so the planner, whereas he was more Mr. Go with the flow. But go with the flow meant that we almost didn't even make it in time to pick up my runner's packet, which meant that even though I had paid for everything, I wouldn't have been able to do my races because it was the last day on Friday. And then when I finished my half marathon, he was not there at the finish line. He was dead asleep at the hotel room because he had decided the night before to stay up late playing video games with my friend's boyfriend. All the tiny little things that had been building up didn't tell me to leave, but finishing a half and not seeing him there, I realized he would never cheer me on. He would never be there for the goals that I accomplished. And I couldn't be with that person.